Weakening the Clean Water Act would threaten this way of life. That is why I strongly oppose the Trump administration's proposal that would degrade Section 401 of the Clean Water Act and gut protections for vast bodies of water that serve communities throughout the region. Section 401 guarantees that states and tribes have a voice and say in projects that require federally issued permits and licenses. Specifically, it rejects a one-size-fits-all system by establishing a certification requirement that enables states and First Nation tribes to help optimize the conditions that must be met to secure a permit or license for a special project. It's very reasonable. I recognize that developers who fail to meet the requirements identified by states and tribes may be frustrated by denials in earning federal approval for a given project. However, silencing the voices and inputs of those Americans most directly impacted is the wrong approach, especially since these voices often represent the states and the tribes and the tribal governments that are on the front lines working to safeguard their water supplies. It is disappointing, but not surprising, that the Trump administration only cares about states' rights when it is to look the other way, allowing corporate polluters to destroy streams and pave over wetlands. During this hearing, we will hear that Section 401 leads to delays on energy projects and that it is abused to stop projects that are unpopular. However, when I asked the EPA for more information on how much time Section 401 adds to the permitting process, the EPA could not provide any information. Today's proposal would place highly restrictive requirements on what activities and impacts a state can review, as well as restrictive deadlines on the process. It would also give the federal government a veto on projects, and there would be no notice to downstream states for proposed projects. Many would be shocked to learn that the Clean Water Act was actually passed by a bipartisan majority in Congress and signed into law by a Republican president. However, policymakers and constituents of prior generations had lived through decades of unchecked dumping of untreated sewage, industrial waste, and agricultural runoff into our waters. We must never take for granted how over the past 50 years, the Clean Water Act has reduced or eliminated pollution in our nation's waterways and slowed the rate of wetlands loss. Congress should honor this progress by recognizing that more work remains to be done today, tomorrow, and in future years. Just last year, every beach in Illinois that was tested by the Environmental Protection Agency had to close for at least one day, and South Shore Beach in southern Chicago was closed for nearly 40 days because of water contamination. My constituents want to swim on these beaches all summer long, and we will never achieve that goal by weakening the Clean Water Act. Simply put, healthy water means healthier families, communities, and economies. That is why I will continue fighting to preserve and strengthen the Clean Water Act and always put the health and well-being of my constituents above all other interests. Mr. Chairman, thank you again for holding this hearing, and I look forward to hearing from our witnesses.
Well, thank you very much.